Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Portland Trail Blazers full game highlights, reaction, review, and analysis. Let's jump right into it. As you can see, Dame was still out. Keon still out. And Gary Payton II, curiously, still has not played yet this season. I believe he was supposed to be back last Wednesday. He's still not out. He's still not available. So both teams were shorthanded. As you can see, 6-5 right now. Both teams shorthanded as Kawhi and Paul George and John Wall didn't play for the Clippers. As we see Nurk stepping out, hitting that three. That might have been the one where he had missed the first one, and then he hit that. Because they were pretty much saying, he's going to have to make one of those before we do anything about it. Which is good coaching. That's definitely what you want to do in that situation. You don't want to honor that immediately. He hasn't proven that just yet. Now this guy right here, even though you see him with the flop mopping, but Jeremy Grant is that his three-pointer is starting. We'll see, but right now it's looking like it's becoming a little more consistent. It was good to see Josh Hart was okay after that. You was wondering if he was going to be able to come back, but he did. Ant, Killer Ant is what they call him. He went off. Now, before we get into what transpired this game, Ant, my goodness, Killer Ant, he went off. Let me say that since both teams had players missing, obviously there's things that we do when Dame is there, and there's things that we do only when Dame is there, because he is Dame, and plus he's just such a threat. Teams have to honor so many things. It opens up a lot for others. So we see a nice decisive shot right there by Jeremy Grant. It opens so much for others. So you could tell that you could definitely tell that Coach Lue wasn't going to do too much. He wasn't going to show too much out there. His guys aren't there, so there's not so much. There's only so much they can do anyway. So to me, it looked like Coach Billups was also like, we're not going to show too much right now either. And you'll see why that makes sense in that fourth quarter. But right now, it's not an issue because, as you can see, Ant and Jeremy Grant were carrying the team and doing a great job of it. As you can see, Josh right there with the nice corner three. And the young fellas filled in nice. I know Watford at the end kind of, had his mistakes, but he filled in nice early. Shaedon Sharpe had some good energy, but again, you see what I was saying before about the lack of focus, and that really can hurt. That really can hurt. As we see Reggie Jackson right there, who played great. He was okay. But you can tell that both teams weren't trying to really show a lot. They're playing the long game, We're going to have to see each other when it matters later in the season. Maybe even in the playoffs. You never know. So you could definitely tell, it was a poker game out there. It was chess and poker. Guys were definitely holding a lot back. But with that being said, there was still an air of expectation to win this game. Like you can just, it was in the air. You can feel that energy. That the Trailblazers at home, no Kawhi, no Paul George, no John Wall. You expect Ant and Jeremy Grant and Nurkic to get the job done. You know, you want to see Nurkic have a little more impact. Again, like I said before, though, he's been trying to figure out how to eat and how to have the right appetite for the role that he's asked to have right now. But he still has to know that there's going to be games where he just has to be that beast, you know. And he's made some great passes. Oh my goodness. And he's just going to have to learn how to balance that, you know, because the past, including our last game, he's been really methodical, making good decisions. I mean, you can tell that, you know, he's being told, you know, what's expected and what they really want him to do. But nonetheless, he has to figure out, that was a nice shot by Ant. I can't let that go. But he has to figure out how to balance out when those opportunities come, especially against the teams when he has the advantage. You know, kind of go hard, man. Go hard, Nurk. You know, make some things happen. And the reason I say that is not so he can have 30 and 20 or anything like that, but it's just, it does so much for the team to not only open up things for other players as far as the defense having to adjust to Nurk taking advantage of whatever situation or opportunities might be arising, but it also makes the other team have to make that adjustment, which now you can kind of go back to, you know, having Ant get open shots and Jeremy Grant with his action, you know, on the low wing or whatever. You know, you can get a lot done. But when that doesn't happen, when Nurk isn't aggressive or when Nurk doesn't look to be involved, you know, aggressively, intently, then you as you see in this fourth quarter right here, the Clippers just keyed on Ant, and as you can see, Ant was even resting on the sideline for a little bit. But even when he came back in, you know, guys were kind of just standing around watching. There was one particular time Jeremy Grant had the ball, kind of where Trendon Watford is, on the left wing. There was somebody else in the left corner. There was somebody else at the top of the three. It was Josh Hart or somebody else at the right wing, and then somebody else right next to him behind the three. And Jeremy Grant was right where he was at right there where he took that shot. It was earlier in the fourth quarter, and nobody moved. Everybody just stood there and watched Jeremy Grant. And they got caught doing that, just standing there watching Anthony Simons. But the reason I bring that up is because there's not, even though there's plenty of things you could do and call, I just think guys didn't want to show their hand. I mean, it's just, there's a lot on the line later in the season. And even though, like I said, the expectation kind of felt like this is a game you can win, you don't want to expend so much for this win and give them so much to see, you know, for later on when it really matters, when you got everybody and then they have everybody. But yet now they know everything because you didn't show them everything for this win. You know, it's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough. But I think if that was the case, I think that was the right decision. Do I still think the guys could have pulled this out and had the opportunity to get this win? Yes. As you can see, it was just things like, you know, some laxes in defense. I think Ant definitely got exposed. It wasn't just, I mean, Luka does that to everybody, but it was too easy for Reggie and other guys to just get what they wanted. Norman Powell, whenever Ant, you know, was on him, I want to see Ant take that personal, and kind of lock in on defense and use his quickness, his lateral movement, anticipation, you know, to hopefully do better, you know what I'm saying, on the defensive end. Because guys are starting to to as you can see from teams scouting, guys are starting to hunt where he's at, man. And yeah, you can see what he does back on the offensive end. But we need to cut down on the way guys are taking advantage of him on the defensive end. So Ant should take that personal, man. And hopefully we'll see him, in order to take the stairs, you got to step up, right? So hopefully we'll see him step up, man, and take those steps right on up, take those stairs right on up. But then the rest of that, will be for the rest of the guys. Like I said, Shaedon Sharpe, there was a time where he drove the ball in. I want to say this was the fourth quarter also, the beginning of the fourth quarter. It could have been the end of the third, but anyway, he drove the ball in, got it blocked, put his head down, and was by far the last guy getting back. Wasn't even close to getting back on defense. Yet he's one of the most athletic, one of the fastest guys on the team. Young fella's got to make that commitment. Everything's not going to work out the way you want. You're not going to be able to put on a show all the time. Every play is not going to work out how you want, but nonetheless, you got to put your head down and hustle back on D, because you never know what can happen. You might get a deflection, coming back on that end now. We headed back the other way, but just putting your head down and not doing anything, not getting up the court, that really hurt your team. Those who saw the game, saw that play when it happened, you could see when Coach Billups kind of got on him, like, hey man, you got to get back on D, dog. You got to get back, man. I mean, that's inexcusable. We can't have that. Foul trouble was an issue. Oh, and that's Jeremy Grant fouling out. That hurt, but yet you want to kind of look at it like, well, he's being aggressive. Not foolishly aggressive, but I mean, he was playing hard. He was still doing the flop mopping thing. He did that. He was kind of on that tonight. I don't know, and I honestly don't know if he was able to get a foul on any of those times that he flopped down on the ground. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. He might have, but man, and I just think the way things balance out, man, when you're trying to take advantage, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to rig the game, you know what I mean? As far as, embellish things that may not be there, it comes out on the other end, you know what I'm saying? As we saw with the 6 fouls, man. And that's just how things work. It's just the way things work, But hopefully he can get that corrected. Because like I said, he's too good of a player to rely on things like that, to even have that in his bag. He should be definitely utilizing other skill sets to create the contact that he's looking for, because he's that good. He's that good. He can be that good. But those are things that we see the team working on, and that's why I mentioned before in closing about how this is a team in development, man, and you just can't get too caught up in the successes when you know that this is, it's a process. So looking forward to tomorrow night against the Lakers, see how the team responds. The main thing we want to see is togetherness, continuity. Justice Winslow, you can see him, starting to come along good offensively, finding his touch again. And that's definitely going to be needed. You can see little things like that, taking place. So once those things come together, man, and that's, you're not necessarily waiting for that to happen. You're building towards that, making sure it happens, So that's what we're doing. So we'll see tomorrow, what steps the team takes into making that happen sooner than later. But it's going to be a collective effort. The communication is going to have to be a lot better on defense and offense, for that matter. Movement's going to have to be a lot better on offense for 48 minutes. You know what I'm saying? The ISO, you know, can't just get caught watching everybody ISO. Can't get caught watching guys ISO. That's just not going to get it done. That's just too easy to defend. And it's not like we got the guys that's going to make every shot ISO like that. I mean, it's, you know, it's just not like that. You know what I'm saying? So, we got to create better shots, and we have all the guys to do that. And if we do that, this team is very hard to deal with. So we look forward to getting back on that page. The guys, getting rested when they can. Cause like I said, this back to back is going to be tough, especially coming off this loss. So we'll definitely look forward to seeing what steps we take tomorrow. And, thank you guys for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one. All right.